Welcome to the AI Business and Innovation Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Halbert. Today's guest is Gil Ben-Porat, an Amsterdam and Tel Aviv-based artist manager who turns streaming data into sold-out shows while leading brand storytelling at HR tech unicorn Papaya Global. Gil, it's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Gil, I would love to just hear a little bit about your background. How did you arrive at becoming an artist manager and brand storyteller?
Well, I started, first of all, music was always something that I was interested in. I started as a producer. I was a guitarist when I was a teenager, like I think 90% of the of the humankind. After a while, when I started producing other artists and myself, of course, I realized that I was more interested in like the backhand of everything and the business side of things. So I started searching and really doing some heavy research on where can I go with this intent. And I found the artist management as a place where I could really connect with what I do and what I enjoy doing. I just found the connection between people and the labels, and everything just clicks for me. And that's how it started, really.
Well, in the olden days, we used to make music, and if it sounded good, we'd share with our friends, and then it would go up the line. And if you're lucky, then it would get spotted by some record label. Nowadays, things are a little bit different. We have a lot of data that we're able to integrate into our decision-making process to separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. Could you speak a little bit about your process for how you identify music that ought to actually be produced and songs that should be left at the wayside?
Well, yeah, sure. I think in my opinion, the critical thing is the emotional side of things. How much does this song make me feel? It could be anger, it could be anything really, happiness, sadness, you name it. As long as I feel it, it's something that I think it should be somewhere in some way or form published. And from there, obviously, with using data that we have today, we can definitely measure how much success that it had. But I think as like the first touch point that you have with the song, with any song, doesn't matter the genre, in my opinion, it's really how does it make me feel. First of all, if it makes me feel.
Do you find that you are able to feel often, or do you need to test it out in the market and see what the audience has to say about it in order to get there?
I try not to, in a way, even though it does make sense to test it out with the audience, but I try not to, because I do believe in the authenticity that you have with your emotion. Each and every one of us has this emotional connection to specific moments in life that this specific song can generate. And this is something that is, in my opinion, so unique and so authentic that it's so hard to mimic. You just sometimes, you need to trust it. Once you feel it, you just need to go with it and really go, even if it's blindly, if you don't have the metrics and you don't have the data. Once you feel it, you know it.
What do you think about albums that bring together songs of different genres or that have different tempos? Do you think that it creates some inconsistency, or that it can depend and that it may strengthen actually?
That's a great question, because I think in this specific point, we're entering the branding and persona space and not just the emotional musical space, because we have a lot. I mean, Beyonce did a country album, which was successful. Post Malone just turned like 100% country from being like the complete opposite. And it worked for some, at least, but it comes with what we call branding. Let's say I am well known for creating sad songs, and once I'll create an album that is completely happy, a lot of people may not connect to it, not just because it wasn't authentic. It could be just because they're so not used to it, and they connect to the sad side of me. The way I express my sadness through my songs is something that other may connected with me in the same way, but not the same thing with happiness, for example. So it varies. And this is something that I would probably suggest to do some A/B testing before, and really try to test it out as much as possible before publishing and going out with that drastic change.
Could you compare the transition of Michael Jordan from baseball to basketball to Post Malone's transition from hip hop and R&B to country?
Honestly, it's a tough one. I mean, Post Malone, I'm a big fan of Post Malone, by the way.
Me too.
And he started out as something that, let's call it just trap music. And the change that it did to country wasn't immediate. There was an album between it. I forget the name of the album, but the cover is like him sitting poolside with his shirt off. And this specific album, in my opinion, is by far his best work so far, because it wasn't just a clear cut. This album was something that took what he had before, like the trap music, the things that he already did, and people already knew him because of this. And he started implementing not just country, but songwriting, like indie songwriting. I mean, for me, it clicked immediately. And I mean, on a personal taste, I didn't really enjoy his country phase, and not at the moment as well. But that album is something different. And if
I believe you're
I don't
talking
have a
about the
lot of
album called Austin.
yes, yes, Austin. Austin. This is to me it's something else. Just something that is so it stand out over everything, you know. You can take out congratulations, you can take out all of the beer pongs and I forgot the names of other songs with Nicki Minaj. You did a lot of stuff before that. You can take them all and just give me that specific album. It's the best in my opinion.
Let me ask you a question about Post Malone's style because I think it's so unique. In a certain funny way, he reminds me of a buddy that I hung out with a lot when I was like a teenager, like it's kind of like a fun guy to be around. He takes things to the next level and I see it also with like Lil Wayne or, you know, one other basketball comparison like Allen Iverson. There's different ways to express yourself. Do you think that there's something about the way that he's literally branded his body that correlates with his ability to directly express himself? Even before the audience hears his music, I feel like they're connecting with his image.
Absolutely, no doubt. No doubt. I think everything about specifically Post Malone, if we're already on this topic, is not thought out, but authentic. I mean, you can clearly see that he is true to himself and he's centered and like and one into what he likes, and the music that he produces is exactly what he wants at the moment. I mean, I think he could surprise us tomorrow and create like a full like tango music album just because he wants it and because he found out that he likes tango, and like you just don't know where it goes, but the authenticity that he has as a persona is so strong and so relatable. It actually comes with like his voice cracks in his songs. Like he's not the best singer when it comes to professionally singing. Like his technique is not the best, but the way that it comes out, you can feel that emotion coming out. This is where it's like you hit the jackpot. So I think if you go to his image, his tattoos, the way he dresses, obviously he just changed his appearance with his country face. Now he has this like the leather boots and he has the hat, like the cowboy hat. These things keep changing because he changes accordingly, but he's so true to himself that it's just comes out right.
How do you compare? I like to jump through this one. You have Travis Scott, who takes things to a whole nother level, for example, where he collaborates with very well known high end fashion brands. I believe that he put together recently a line with Louis Vuitton accessories and really mind blowing things because it's all conceptual art. I mean, he made a pair of pants, which are not really pants to begin with. They're primarily an accessory that a person would wear. However, they also happen to be a pair of pants. Like that's where they practically fit on the body. And he makes different types of pieces like bags, things that you know, it's not just practical. It goes far above and beyond that and caters to the specific tastes of people that simply want to collect things of that kind of quality or nature. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but you see Post Malone, he is an example of a prime consumer. He knows how to dress himself up and present himself and conduct a leading role. Others can go ahead and they can follow him and they can adapt and adopt his brands and thoughts. And then you have somebody that goes and they create their own line, and that line isn't even intended for the regular masses that are listening to his music. It's meant for a different audience. What do you make of these different strategies that artists take to scale up their businesses to go above and beyond the music alone?
I mean, I think it's first of all, I think Travis Scott is a great example. It's like a great comparison if you take it to Post Malone because they're both different, but you can see a lot of similarities. I mean, it will be a pretty abstract look of things, but if you take Travis Scott listeners, if you try to imagine where would you hear Travis Scott, like in what situation? For me, I would imagine like in a convertible car, you know, like driving down LA with like full volume and probably be night drive. That's just how I imagine it. It's like it's a specific type of people that would listen to it to a specific situation. It doesn't necessarily mean that others won't hear it or won't like it. It's just that the ideal, I want to say the ICP, the ideal customer, it would be those, for example. It's the same thing as it's branding, basically. It's the same thing as Post Malone, where he has those different people in different situations where they can relate to that music, where it would be the optimal situation for them to hear him. So I think the comparison is great. I forgot about the second thing that you mentioned with the companies.
Well, yeah, so one of them is like an example of a prime consumer in Post Malone's case, right? I don't believe that he has his own line. Like also Drake, he has his own line of clothing. There's others. I don't want to mention some of them because they're caught up in entanglements that I don't want to mention. But there were early examples of other famous artists that figured out how to make perfumes and accessories, etc. It's a known concept. But here you have someone who buys things and wears them, and he doesn't profess to create them. And then you have another person here who he's already gone to the point where he used to just be the primary consumer. I'm sure he still does buy other things and it's known for it, but he also makes his own stuff. And it's not things that are audio based. These are things that are visually based. It's an aesthetic he's looking for an aesthetically, visually pleasing thing, in addition to the auditory pleasing things that he does. I imagine he even does them together. Right? He'll like Travis would listen to his music and create, and then sometimes listen to someone else and create as well. And Post Malone is creating music, so it's like there are different loops that they're on different creative loops. It seems like just you can see from the outside generally things. If you look deeper into them and their processes as a manager, as a artist manager, what can you identify about these creative processes that your artists go through and how that contributes to their ability to produce more of that high quality creative material?
So I think it's a great question, and I think the best way to look at it is really looking if we talk about the aesthetic side of things, specifically within Post Malone and Travis Scott. Would you agree that Travis Scott's fans would probably buy more merch when it comes to appearance, clothes, for example?
Of his things, yes.
Correct, correct. Talking about branding complete, like his brand, let's say he has his own hat, for example, or
Totally.
some sort of a line. And the reason is most, in my opinion, again, it's because that's what he shows off. Like his music is about, at the end, at its core, trap music. And then what he does specifically within trap music is about expressing who he is in that financial situation, in his style. When I'm saying style, I mean like physically, where, for example, if I take Post Malone, I'm sure he has his own merch in some sort of a way. Not sure if it's
Mhm.
completely branded as like a line of clothing, but he does have merch, and the probability that his audience would buy his line of clothing, it will probably be good, but not as Travis Scott, because that's not what he tried. That's not his trademark, and that's not what he's trying to sell you. It's like the ideal concept of what he does. Post Malone is like, you feel that he's a bit more connected to himself. He's trying to express what he has to say. Not that Travis Scott is not doing that. He's just doing it differently. He's expressing different personalities, traits. So again, in my opinion, I think if you take them both and give them both line of clothings, I think Travis Scott's fans will go much, much stronger on buying those just because of what he's trying to
And do you find, I mean, we're looking at various business models for scaling up in the music industry. Do you find that the dominance that these artists have in the market already, or their virality on Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, etc., is actively shaping the real world career moves for your artists, and how?
I want to say no, and I'll explain. When you get to a certain point of success, like to a point where it's not, I want to say it's even not scalable anymore, because you pretty much reached almost like the max limit in even your imagination. You are a thought leader in a way. You are like setting the tone, but you're not necessarily teaching or educating the, let's call it the young generation that will come after you. You need to be aware of that, and you need to do it intentionally if that's what you're aiming for. But I don't think that either Post Malone or Travis Scott, for this example, are doing it intentionally, even if they're doing it. So I can tell from my experience with my clients that they are not necessarily looking for like the big dogs in the league. In there specifically, it depends on the genres as an educators, or like they are thought leaders. They are setting the tone, as I said before, but the moves that they are doing are not scalable for others to do. The reason they are doing those specific moves is because they can. And for example, if I have, I don't know, 100 monthly listeners on Spotify, and I'll manage to get a DJ set on in Ibiza, that doesn't mean anything to me because I will get the exposure. I will be out there on stage. It's a great experience. I might get a few Shazams into it, but that's where it ends because there's a lot more to it. It's not just setting. It's not like having a manager that could give you each and every set in each and every venue, and then you're good. This would probably work only for those who already made some progress, like as I said, the big dogs in the league. So if I go back to what you said, I don't think that they educate the younger generation. I do believe that what they're doing is obviously good. You can see that they keep succeeding in what they're doing, but it's not necessarily something that you would like to copy just because of different stages of career.
Walk us through the moment that you spotted a music producer's track climbing Spotify, going viral, and you see that they are able to secure a festival, some similar to the story you just told, but more along the line of building their brand and not just a one-off. And what that experience was like for you.
That's the best in a way. That's the best of the best. That's the best feeling ever when you see that what you see in your own eyes and what you believed, if it was a month ago or 15 years ago, the fact that you saw something and you were right, it means a lot, not just to your client, of course, which is, I think it's fairly obvious that he's experiencing that success like firsthand because it's his first of all, but even personally for me, like when it comes to like confidence and those small things that matter. Because I have like a short example, I had a client where he started out with really anywhere, I think it was around 5,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, and eventually got to a point where he managed to sign a deal with a major label within the house music industry, and it blew off, like really blew off to a point of millions of streams into that specific track, and that was something different. That it felt different. It felt like I think we both knew that something was different with this specific one. It's like when you feel that you hit that specific nerve and you just go with it and you trust it. You trust your gut, you trust your instincts. It's almost like your primal instincts, and it shows eventually. We're all human beings. We all feel the same thing. We don't necessarily show it off. We don't necessarily remember it, and we're not aware of it all the time. I think all of us collectively are overlooking our emotions a lot of times during our lives, and sometimes it doesn't matter because once we're feeling it, even if we're not aware of it, we will react to it. And I think this was the case with this specific track that really blew off.
Papaya Global sells payroll software. Your artists sell emotions, yet both need narratives that travel fast. What common storytelling framework works for both a SaaS demo and a music release?
Well, easy. Thought leadership. Thought leadership will go on in every corner that you can think of. Um, I mean, it sounds like a big switch. I mean, from music to payroll payments, global payments, it is a big switch, but if you look at it, it's almost evolution. It's like it's just taking the same skill set and just implementing into a different industry, a different space. And the results are the same. As I said before, we are all human. We are all feeling the same feelings that we all have. It's just about how we can make it work, how can I, as a writer, as a producer, as a human being, how can I express it the best way for you to feel it? And that, in my opinion, when you go to the biggest, best marketers ever, that would be the underline. We're just trying to make people feel what we want them to feel at this specific moment. So we need to set the mood. We need to set like the whole scene for it to work. It's not just that I'm not a magician. I'm not doing like this and then you're sad or you're happy or you're motivated. I need to build it. I need to give you that atmosphere that this is the right time for it. And then once you're hooked, it's up to me. It's up to my technical work to make sure that you will switch into the emotion that I picked.
Share a campaign where you reused concert tour techniques like drops, teasers, countdowns to launch a new Papaya feature.
Hmm. We actually had a product update not long ago, and we were thinking how are we going to promote it organically? And there are a lot of ideas and a lot of thoughts into it, and obviously we brainstormed as a team, and we actually came up with the same exact concept that you promote a concert basically. It's not a countdown, it's not necessarily a buy now kind of thing, but the marketing process, like the pace of posting, the tone of voice would sound exactly the same. So there were so many similarities during that journey in this specific campaign that it was pretty amazing.
Directly translates into your work at Papaya Global. TikTok and Shorts now are where songs are broken out into the market. They're treated like products and they can even hold political messages. What elements make a 15-second clip outperform a polished 2-minute promo?
I don't want to sound repetitive, but emotion. I mean, if I can get you to feel pissed off, motivated, happy, you name it, within 2 seconds of the short, the TikTok, the video itself, the visual aspect of it, you're hooked. It's like fishing. If I got you in those 2 or 3 seconds, it's done. You're probably going to watch at least 10, 15 seconds, depends on the length of the video and how I produced it long after this. But if I got you on this specific margin, then that's all I need. And usually the best way to do it, and the thing that converts the best way, is really playing your the viewer's emotion. And you can see it obviously with music and with visual effects and with the videos themselves. Like they're all trying to play. If you just try to go on TikTok or on YouTube Shorts, open any random short or TikTok you want, and just keep that in mind. Say to yourself, how does that make me feel? Even before you open it, you'll see how quickly you can answer this question, because this is exactly what the creator thought about without you thinking about it. But this time you're ahead of it. So you're thinking about before he tries. So you can see you can see his tricks in a way.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I don't think so, I gotta say. I haven't really been working on creating those clips like physically. I have been working on thinking of them, like designing the idea of how they would work, but not as on a practical sense.
I would love to hear about it for a couple minutes if you wouldn't mind sharing what your concept would be for using a phone to beat a full studio video recording in a
Okay.
15-second clip and like why you think it would work.
So I would have to structure it first. It has to start with a 2 to 3 second hook. That hook should be everything, and it would be like 90% of my efforts would go into that hook of thinking, how can I catch the viewer's eye and mind? And that would be like the main event for me as a start in that whole structure. Going through that 2 or 3 seconds, we move on to, let's say, 5 to 7 seconds, where you get the body, for example, where I would have to explain to you why am I interesting? What do I want from you? Or just why did you stop? What was the reason for it? And that obviously would have to be entertaining and eye-catching, and would probably have a lot of cutscenes and a lot of, like, let's call it blinks. And the rest, which is basically the outro, would have to be a CTA, some sort of a call to action that could be beneficial for, of course, for me and for the viewer. And it would have to probably end on a high note that would be able to complete the loop. So if you're watching it on a loop, it will be connected, which is more of a visual effect, but our brains really appreciate those like complete cycle in almost an unconscious way. Something that I don't know if you had this situation before, but even if you see any video, even on Instagram, TikTok, you name it, and you see that it might loop, like you might see the connection between the start and the ending, and if you watch it and just rewatch it again, you might discover if the creator connected it or not. And the only reason we do it is just that our brains work. It's almost like ADHD in a way. We just need that completion. And once you get it, it's some sort of a dopamine effect that you get like a boost of it. So it's always good to have it. It's like a nice to have. It's not a must.
It's very intelligent because I do find it happens sometimes. I put my phone is on shorts and then it starts going on a loop for like 10, 15 minutes. I'm listening to it in the background because I got busy with something. And for some odd reason, it doesn't get boring. Like when I listen to music, sometimes if it's the third time, if it's the second time, I heard the song twice, I'm done. Unless it's like Golden Brown, like deluxe version on repeat. But like besides that, like I can't really take it. The short though, if it like says something meaningful and it does it like even 100 times, it actually somehow just delves deeper in and makes a more impactful message. And I'm still meditating on it. The same message is just coming back again. What do you think that has to say about the nature of the human psyche as it relates?
That's a good question. It's just I think it just shows how simple we are sometimes, even though we all think we're so complicated and so like full of thoughts and ideas and so many, I'm not trying to underestimate anyone or myself, of course. We all have those deep thoughts and conversations with ourselves. But at the end of the day, we are all feeling the same thing. We're all in the need for the same closures, for the same, those dopamine boosts. That's why it works. It's just, that's just the way it is. For example, I'm sure that TikTok won't work for cows. I don't think they have that need for closure and for that dopamine boost, but humans do. And it's that simple. Once you get that click and you know how to create that click for other people, whether it's music, visual effect, you name it. Once you do, you're good.
Well, generative AI tools can create like instant beats. You can make captions, you can add vocals, but fans can often smell that there's something fake about it, and it usually happens pretty soon on in the process of them listening. Where do you draw the line between AI assistance and artistic integrity, and especially when it comes to getting drawing emotions out of your audience? Do you find that AI in the specific use case of content creation, the way you do it, is stifling or a stumbling block, or is it something which has to be applied in a specific way?
I think it's definitely just something that at this point of time needs to be applied in a specific way. I do believe that we'll get to a point where people would look for AI music. That would be a genre. That would be something that I would like to listen. For example, I want to listen to blues right now, and you want to listen to jazz, and this guy want to listen to AI music. And it will be like this, and it will be AI jazz or AI blues, because it does have a different tone. Or obviously we can still identify and recognize the differences. So I do feel that people would be attracted into it in some sort of a way. I don't think that it would replace music in a way. It would definitely be a great tool as it is right now for writing for any sort of content, really. And that's something that, in my opinion, everyone should use. As long as you have a tool and you know how to use a tool and not as like a not like a it shouldn't be a liability, if that makes sense. It should stay as a tool, at least for now. And I'm saying at least for now because obviously the updates and the pace that things are going is unbelievable. Like you get updates on a daily basis and you cannot keep up. You just cannot. And honestly, I mean, if you can't beat them, join them in a way. There's no way to fight it anymore. You just need to know how to use it, but for your own good and to keep your authenticity in it. That's one of the main reasons why we still recognize AI music, even if it's just instrumental or stuff that it's not too easy to recognize, because it still lacks emotion. It still lacks the authenticity that a human being can put into a song or into a text as well. Or even though a text might be a bit harder, but still, we can still feel it. I can attest for myself. I've had posts on LinkedIn where not myself that I read that other people posts where I can clearly see where AI took this part, but you can, and I'm saying it in a good sense, you can see and you can read it and you can feel where is the AI and where is that person, because the authenticity, it's like it's different. It clicks. I can relate to it. It resonates differently. And that's something that I hope humanity should keep, at least for now.
Have you used AI in a session to help create lyrics or prompts for lyrics, and then had a vocalist tweak them to keep it human?
Definitely, all the time. That's what you call a tool. I've never asked for AI to give me a full-on lyric and like, let's go with it and like that. You can definitely do it, but you want to have that tiny bit of like edge where it's you, where it's Gil. I'm writing it. I can definitely get the prompts and I get the ideas from AI and I can use it a lot, but I need to keep my taste into it, personality, um, my edge as a writer, for example.
Being based in Tel Aviv and then having a European clientele, it gives you two very different sandboxes to play in. What growth hacks work in Europe that flop in Israel and vice versa?
I mean, I have one big flop that I had within my community, BPG Music Group. Long story short, we tried to create some sort of a live DJ set. I think it was during COVID or anywhere around COVID. So it was an online set through Discord. It's just that's where like it doesn't click. It felt like for Europeans it wasn't the right fit, and it completely flopped. I mean, it didn't work, but it was a great lesson. It was a great lesson to really understand what different cultures almost what it means, even if we're talking technology stuff. You know,
What do you think happened there? Let's unpack that.
it's kind of like WhatsApp. If you take it for example, Israel loves WhatsApp, but if you go to the United States, I don't think you have a lot of WhatsApp in there. Maybe in Europe you have a little bit more, but there are different countries that use different platforms, and it's definitely not something that if I'll take Discord for example, it's not that popular in all of Europe, and I think this is the main obstacle that I faced with this specific one. It just wasn't there. Maybe if it was a different platform, it would work, but I guess I'll have to retry it in order to know this answer.
What's the difference between launching a single on, say, a Dutch radio versus an Israeli playlist?
A lot, a lot. The Israeli house music scene is at its early stages. It's here to stay, no doubt, and it's here for a long time, but it hasn't really developed in a long time. So it's still in its early stages when it comes to her like progress or development. While if you go to a Dutch radio station, you hear house music all along. It's something that it is much stronger in their culture. It's something that ADE is obviously in Amsterdam, and there's a reason to it. So it's a big difference. It's a big difference.
What could you say about the Israel music culture? And then we'll also like to hear about European. But first, I'm curious also, as somebody who lives in Tel Aviv, I enjoy the Tel Aviv nightlife. There are plenty of venues and events occurring all the time, but I'm no expert. I'm very new to the scene. Maybe you could explain to me in the audience what it is that's going on here.
So what is going on here is like an underground kind of thing with the house music, because as you said, and you are correct, there are a lot of clubs in here and a lot of places where you can perform and work as a musician.
Do you think it has something to do with the language? Because I could say, for example, if English isn't my native language and I'm showing up and I have to even pay cover for a night to go dancing, I don't have capacity, especially if I'm drinking or what have you. I don't have capacity to understand what I'm listening to. And the artist's expression through the music, it just is lost. As a listener, I'm going to fall back to what's going to make me feel good. And like whatever is top trending is what I believe is going to be the easiest, like you said, the easiest fix to get me going, get me dancing. I think that I hear in the formula though that the lack of exposure to the language that the music is being performed in could actually deter the audience from being open to a small time rising artist being able to express themselves the way that they need to be expressed to get traction. Sounds like something that you and I need to explore. Um, that sounds interesting. Well, with payouts still tiny, artists need super fans, they need merch, they need like Web3 passes, NFTs. You get creative, maybe create their own cryptocurrency. What's the most underrated revenue channel you've activated for a mid-tier act in 2025? I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, for example, I have Lark X Skylark. I produce music for poetry. It's for the lyrics. I like to share I'm a poet. I've written like 15 journals since I was like 12. Okay, I'm not that old, but old enough. And I found that I was able to share my music as a way to like basically convey poetry and messages to people without having to really make it a full-time job, but I can make it sound sweet and beautiful. I find that I got onto some playlists. I get a few hundred listens, it comes, it goes, it fluctuates, whatever, for a time, and then the playlist maybe goes stale, or you fall down the list. What kind of advice could you give to myself or to other rising artists that want to find a way to express themselves and integrate culturally with society? Not necessarily to make it big and like make a lot of money. I mean, it would be good to be able to cover expenses, but to get out and be able to share and interact on a cultural level and help to move things forward. Explain how a limited edition vinyl NFT that was dropped like in the market, okay, a limited release, could fund a tour leg of a music band when their sponsorships fell through and that they decided that they would want to continue with performing the concert and the tour. Yes. Yeah, and furthermore, so NFT, it's like it represents just the appearance, right? It's like the vinyl cover. It's just something visual. It has nothing to do with the actual music itself, right? On one hand, now that's selling. Now, on the other hand, the sponsors decided that they didn't want to. They discontinued the sponsorship because ostensibly they lost faith in the music. So now you are responsible for deciding should they continue with the tour or not, and you can fund the tour with the vinyl NFT that you drop. The question is, should you go ahead and proceed with the tour? In this situation, they did. I think that we can judge it, but would you want to prolong or actually support that business, that net strategy as a music manager, as an artist manager? Cool. Um, what's one negotiation tip every new manager should know? What's a better approach? What's one dream band artist collab that you haven't landed yet that you would like to? That's cool. All right, Finn. I hope you're listening, you're watching, you're tuning in, and that you and I and Gil can connect the dots here. Okay, and final question: what is your favorite productivity tool that you use on a regular basis that you can't live without? Thank you so much for sharing all that amazing information. This was a masterclass for all of us listening out there. And I want you all to smash the subscribe on YouTube, rate us, drop us a quick comment so we can learn and listen and provide more meaningful and interesting episodes for you. Well, it would be great if you could just share with us any projects or items that you'd like to promote at this time for all the audience to be able to check in with you, follow up with you. Well, Gil, thank you once again. We'll share the information in the description, and looking forward to having you again on the podcast soon. Take care.